science, the supernatural, biblical prophecy, global events that threaten to rattle the very foundation of human existence. Critical examinations of the most important issues facing today's modern world. Welcome to the Sharpening Report. And now, your host, Josh Peck.
Hello and welcome to the Sharpening Report. I'm your host, Josh Peck. Tonight, we have a very special guest joining us for the first time ever, Basil Rosewater. Basil is the co-host of the popular podcast Canary Cry Radio, alongside Gans Shimura. Any fan of this show, of the Sharpening Report, will love Canary Cry. And it was actually one of the very first shows that I was invited to be on when I was first starting out. So without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome Basil to the show. Basil, how are you doing?
Doing so good, Josh Peck. And for those of you who are listening, a lot of you may have heard of Canary Cry Radio. And if not, I hope, Josh, when you came on our show last time, you've actually been on 3 times since you first came on. And this last one was a real doozy. It's a real doozy. It's like either somebody's absolute favorite or absolute hated it. It's not because of you.
It was because of me.
Well, it was like 3 hours long. I think a little over 3 hours long, which may not be weird for your show, but for us was a little much. And, by that point, you'd been on a few times. We'd done a couple conferences together, and we just decided to hang out and just do it. So it's a lot of just extreme silliness. It was so much that we actually had to put a disclaimer at the front of the episode and just be like, okay, we know that this is a little bit out of control. Just turn it off if you don't like it.
Yeah, and we were already talking for like 2 or 3 hours even before we started recording.
Yeah,
and to my defense, I'm on a Eastern Standard Time. You guys are like way in California or something.
Right.
We're 3 hours apart. To my defense, it was like 3-4 in the morning when we first started recording. And I have kids and all that, so I'm sleep deprived all the time anyway. But yeah, that was one of those episodes where I just decided, we're just gonna have fun.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I think we had about 20 minutes of like good content from my book. And for those watching who aren't familiar, this is Canary Cry, what is episode 86 or 87 or something?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking it up right now. 87, Cherubim Chariots with Josh Peck.
Yeah, I've never been in that kind of, mood on this show.
I think it was something new for everybody. Especially those listening.
Yeah, I would say so too. But it was a lot of fun, and I think I think it is important to have like a good sense of humor and stuff like that because we're entrenched in all the we're trying to expose the enemy, so we're entrenched in a lot of dark stuff, and if we don't have a sense of humor, we're never going to make it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean that's a core value of Canary Cry Radio. I mean, we're not a comedy podcast, although we did get listed under comedy on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Somehow there's like suggestions and somebody sent us a picture and we got put under comedy, which was weird. But yeah, no, obviously it's having a light heart is biblically mandated. Having joy is one of the fruits of the Spirit. I mean, if you're getting so caught up in all this stuff and you're not a happy person, you're doing something wrong.
That's right.
You're gonna have a bad time.
That's right. And that brings up a really good point, too, because usually the very first question I ask any new guest is for their testimony, but that's going to be the second question that I ask you because we actually, and for the audience, this is going to be the first episode of the Sharpening Report of its kind because this whole episode, we're just going to answer viewer questions. I got so many. Usually when I have a new guest, I'll get 5, 6, sometimes a little more. But we got so many viewer questions for Basil. I've never had a guest, on that provoked such a reaction. So, so the first question that I do, just because I want people to take you seriously when necessary, and I want when you do talk about your testimony. I do want people to absorb that. Melissa actually wrote in and personally asked me to not ask about the mask.
Melissa, my favorite woman. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, I got to do it. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it because those not familiar with you or who may not, they're coming into this episode and thinking, what's up with this? They're probably completely thrown off right now. I mean, be honest, I'm a little thrown off, but and I know you, but so what's up with the mask?
Okay, so
there's a whole thing. So yeah, I'll just let you.
We'll work into the whole thing, but basically, so I did the podcast. We've been doing the podcast for 3 years, and I never really had a Facebook account. I never really did a lot of that. I helped control the Canary Cry account. I did obviously all that, but I never had a chance to show my face or do whatever. But then I don't know, it must have been maybe close to a year ago now, maybe 8 months, something like that. I had to get a Facebook, and then I realized we have talked so much about internet security, the NSA, much less just being stalked or all sorts of stuff. You probably may have had similar experiences, but a lot of people, especially who have podcasts or have some sort of public voice,